There are people who sit across from someone they love and feel nothing but distance, not anger, not resentment, just a quiet, persistent sense of being somewhere else. They smile at the right moments. They nod when expected. But behind their eyes, there is an ocean of space that no one can cross. This is not coldness. This is not cruelty. This is the psychology of someone who learned very early that closeness comes with conditions they could never meet. You see it in the way they listen without fully hearing, the way they hold someone without truly touching. They are present in body, but absent in spirit, watching their own life unfold from behind glass. If this perspective resonates, you can support the video by liking it, because what looks like indifference from the outside is often protection from the inside, a shield built so carefully that even they forget it is there. Emotional detachment begins long before adulthood. It starts in childhood, in homes where love felt unpredictable, where affection arrived without warning and vanished just as quickly. The child learns to brace themselves, to expect nothing, to want nothing, because wanting led to disappointment. Attachment theory describes this as avoidant attachment. The child who stops reaching for comfort because comfort was inconsistent. The nervous system adapts. It learns that emotional investment equals emotional risk. And so the child grows into an adult who keeps everyone at arm's length, even those they claim to love. Neuroscience shows that the brain's emotional processing centers, particularly the amygdala and prefrontal cortex, can become desensitized through repeated emotional neglect. The brain stops registering intimacy as safety and begins to register it as threat. Closeness triggers anxiety instead of comfort. So the person withdraws, not consciously, but reflexively. Their body remembers what their mind has tried to forget. That vulnerability once led to pain. That opening up meant being hurt. This is why they can sit beside their partner and feel nothing. Why they can hear the words "I love you" and not feel moved. Why they can watch someone cry and remain composed. It is not that they lack empathy. It is that their empathy has been buried beneath years of self-protection. They care deeply, but from a distance. They love, but through a filter. They connect, but never completely. Comment detached if this describes your experience, because you are not alone in this. Many people live with this quiet disconnection, mistaking it for strength. They tell themselves they are independent, self-sufficient, that they do not need anyone. But beneath that narrative is a different truth. They are afraid. Afraid that if they let someone in, they will be abandoned again. Afraid that if they lower their guard, they will be exposed. So they stay hidden, even in the presence of those who want to see them. There is a particular kind of loneliness that comes from feeling detached in close relationships. It is not the loneliness of being alone. It is the loneliness of being surrounded by people who care, but feeling unable to receive that care. The person sits at a dinner table with family and feels like a stranger. They lie beside their partner at night and feel miles away. They hear their friends laugh and cannot remember what joy feels like. This is dissociation in its quietest form, a psychological mechanism where the mind separates from the body to cope with overwhelming emotion. Research on trauma shows that individuals who experienced emotional neglect or inconsistent caregiving often develop a fragmented sense of self. They learn to compartmentalize, to separate their emotional world from their relational world. So they function, they perform, they maintain relationships, but they do not inhabit them. They watch themselves live rather than living. And over time, this becomes their normal. They forget what it feels like to be fully present with another person. Type YES if this helped you understand something about yourself. Because understanding is the first step toward integration, toward bringing the separated parts of the self back together. The detachment you feel is not a permanent condition. It is a learned response. And what was learned can be unlearned, slowly, gently, with patience. But unlearning requires something terrifying. It requires vulnerability. It requires lowering the walls that have kept you safe for so long. It requires trusting that this time, closeness will not lead to pain. And that is the hardest thing to believe when your history has taught you otherwise. The brain resists, the body tenses, every instinct says to pull away, because for you, intimacy has always meant eventual loss, so why risk it again? This is where the cycle perpetuates. The person who fears abandonment creates distance. The distance makes their partner feel unloved. The partner withdraws. And the person who feared abandonment sees this as proof that closeness always ends. So they detach further. The pattern repeats, not because anyone wants it to, but because the nervous system is trying to protect what it believes is fragile, your heart. If someone you know might benefit from this, feel free to share it, because this experience is more common than people admit. Many walk through life feeling like observers in their own relationships, and they suffer in silence because they do not have the language to explain what they feel. How do you tell someone you love them but cannot feel them? How do you admit that you are there but not really there? How do you say that you want connection but are terrified of it? The path forward is not about forcing yourself to feel. It is about creating safety within yourself first, about learning that your emotions are not dangerous, that vulnerability is not weakness, that closeness does not guarantee loss. This takes time. It takes small steps. It takes sitting with discomfort. It takes noticing when you withdraw and asking yourself what you are protecting. Therapists working with attachment injuries often use a process called reparenting, teaching the adult self to provide the emotional safety the child self never received. This means speaking to yourself with kindness, validating your feelings instead of dismissing them, allowing yourself to need without shame, because your detachment was born from unmet needs. And those needs do not disappear with age. They simply go underground, waiting to be acknowledged. If this gave you clarity, comment distance below, because clarity is the beginning of change. You are not broken for feeling this way. You are adapted. Your mind found a way to survive circumstances it could not control. But survival and living are not the same. And you deserve to live fully, to feel fully, to love without the constant fear of loss. The person who feels detached is not unfeeling, they are overfeeling, so overwhelmed by emotion that they learned to shut it down entirely. Beneath the calm exterior is a storm they have spent years learning to suppress. And the tragedy is that the suppression worked so well they forgot the storm was ever there. They forgot what it feels like to cry freely, to laugh without self-consciousness, to trust without preparing for betrayal. But the capacity for connection still exists, buried, waiting. It has not been destroyed, only dormant. And with the right conditions, with patience, with safety, it can awaken again. Not all at once. Not without difficulty, but gradually, like a flower opening after a long winter, slowly remembering what warmth feels like. So if you have ever felt like a ghost in your own relationships, know this: you are not too far gone. You are not beyond reach. You are simply protecting a part of yourself that was hurt long ago. And that protection made sense. But now you have a choice: to remain hidden, or to begin the slow, frightening, beautiful work of letting yourself be seen. If this video helped you see yourself more clearly, consider liking it. Drop a comment, sharing one thing you learned about emotional distance. And if you want more insights into the hidden layers of human psychology, subscribe, because understanding yourself is the first step toward coming home to yourself.